So today I'd like to take a few minutes to discuss a very pivotal moment in labor history. That moment is the Haymarket Square Riot. So following the Civil War, anarchists and socialists became more active in labor organizations. And during an economic slowdown between 1882 and 1886, socialists and anarchists started to take uh, uh, greater leadership roles in um, organized labor associations. From 1884 to 1886, the Knights of Labor, the strongest labor group in the United States, grew from a membership of 70,000 to over 700,000. In 1884, the Federation of Trades and Labor Unions set a May 1st, 1886 date as the goal for a standard 8-hour workday. That was when they were going to achieve the 8-hour workday. As that date approached in 1886, labor unions prepared a general strike in support of the standard 8-hour workday because workers were putting in work days that were much longer at this time. So a general strike, just to make sure we know, a general strike is when all workers are supposed to strike, not just workers at a certain plant or within a certain profession. Just general strike. Everybody goes on strike. So May Day comes on May 1st. Thousands of workers went on strike, and rallies were held throughout the country. On May 3rd, violence broke out when police fired into a crowd of striking workers at the McCormick Harvesting Machine Company plant in Chicago. Several workers were killed by police. Following this, anarchist leaders within the labor movement called for a demonstration at Haymarket Square. So there was a demonstration at Haymarket Square. The rally was held on May 4th, 1886, and it began nonviolent. Labor leaders within the labor movement gave speeches throughout the day and into the evening. And police arrived at about 10:30 p.m. and commanded that the protesters disperse. They said, you need to go home. At this time, as the police were approaching the protesters, someone, an unknown person, threw a bomb into the path of police. A homemade bomb. So 7 police officers and at least 4 workers were killed, and some reports stated that about 60 other police officers were injured. Following this riot that broke out at the Haymarket Square, authorities turned their attention to the more radical leadership within the labor movement. The Knights of Labor had officially tried to keep anarchists and socialists from being big voices in the movement, but they were there, and they were a big part of it. So, despite lacking any evidence, despite not having any evidence of actually who threw the bomb and started the riot and killed police officers and civilians, the authorities turned their attention to the radicals within the movement, and 8 men were put on trial for crimes related to the Haymarket Square Riot. All 8 were convicted. 4 were executed on November 11th, 1887. 1 was sentenced to 15 years in prison. 1 person that was convicted committed suicide, and 2 others were pardoned by the governor of Illinois due to public backlash over how the men were being treated. So, in a nutshell, that's the Haymarket Square Riot. And the Haymarket Square Riot became a pivotal moment in American labor history that demonstrated the need for fair labor practices.